Ezra Levant here, Rebel News. Another day, another anti-Semitic arson incident in Toronto. I'm in North Toronto right now, outside a synagogue called Kehilat Sharei Torah. And at 2:30 a.m., these signs outside the synagogue were torched. They were burnt by an arsonist on a motorbike. The debris has been cleaned up before I came here today, but this happened short hours ago. Now, the synagogue has put this small sign here as sort of a statement against the arson, but you can see what they burnt. That poster used to say, "Bring them home now." And I don't know if you can see, but there's pictures of some of the children taken hostage by Hamas. I don't know what this sign would have said. This one says, "Standing against hate, it's what we do." Well, actually, that poster is the one that is standing. The rest have been torched. This synagogue, they tell me, gets hit about once a month. You can see a smashed window there. There's now a polycarbonate window that is higher strength. Around the front, we saw where an airsoft gun was shot at a window. A dead raccoon was left there. This place, we're told, gets attacked about once a month. And police always say, "Tut, tut, there. It's nothing." Is it nothing? 3 arsons in 3 days. 2 days ago, I showed you a school bus that had been torched. It was a Jewish school bus for a Jewish school, marked as a Jewish school bus. Arson. The police and the media downplayed it. Yesterday, I took you to the Leo Beck Day School in North Toronto. Huge fire. They said, "Oh, it was a homeless person. No hate here." Really? Who is this homeless person? I'd like to know his name. Why hasn't he been arrested and charged? And this morning, this new arson incident. I'm told there's another synagogue a few miles away that got hit with arson as well. So I'm going to go there next. Do you think for a second, if in 3 days in a row, there were 3 Muslim mosques and Muslim schools in a row that were torched, that there would be this blasé attitude by the federal government? Justin Trudeau would cut his Tofino surfing vacation short. The provincial government would launch a police investigation. The mayor would be here having a press conference. They don't give a damn, or perhaps more accurately, they care a little bit, but they care a lot more about the fact that Canada now has millions of new immigrants who come from countries that hate Jews and hate Israel, because we haven't screened. And so if you're the mayor, the premier, the prime minister, and you look around and you realize there are now millions of people in Canada who believe in anti-Semitism and even violence. And sure, there's a handful of Jews who are upset because their synagogue was torched, but you're not going to take a stand. That's why the Toronto police allowed an illegal Hamas hate encampment at U of T to break the law for months. It happened the same way at UBC, at McGill, around the country. This is the new Canada. I despise it when politicians say, "That's not Canada. That's not my Canada." Oh, yes, it is. This is the Canada that our politicians have made by bringing in mass, unvetted immigration and turning a blind eye and basically winking at terrorists. I say the word terrorist because what's the definition of terrorism? Violence or the threat of violence to achieve a political result. Well, that's exactly what's going on around Canada today. You could say it's a lone wolf or a rogue actor, but we know for a fact, for example, that Iran has 700 operatives in Canada, and other activists are free to roam. The terrorist group Sami Doon, that's banned in other countries, operates in the open in Canada. Do you really think the attack last night on this synagogue was unrelated, for example, to Israel killing the boss of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh? I believe that Canada is in this war against terror, even if we don't want to acknowledge it. Now I'm going to go to the other synagogue and see if it was torched too. Ezra Levant here at another North Toronto synagogue, this one called Temple Sinai. It's only about 8 minutes away from the synagogue we were just at, and for reference, it's about 4 minutes away from where we saw the torched school bus 2 days ago. And all of this is about 15 minutes away from the torched Jewish school. Again, I'm here, well, let's see what time it is. I'm not here early enough to find this before it was cleaned up. But there was a sign here, just like this one here and this one here, that was torched this morning. I didn't find out about it quickly enough to get down here before it was cleaned up. You can see there's still a piece they haven't cleaned up. What's my point? In 3 days, 4 Jewish institutions in a 20-minute radius of Toronto have been hit by arson. In the first case of the school bus, police were silent. They said, oh, there's no indicia that it's a hate crime. Really? It was a school bus marked for a Jewish school parked next to a synagogue. The next day, they said, oh, that Jewish school that was torched and smashed, that was a homeless person. It was arson, but the good kind of arson, not the anti-Semitic kind. And today, 2 synagogues, the one on Bayview and this one on Wilson, had their signs torched. Now I'm looking around and I can see a surveillance camera over there, but I don't know how much good a surveillance camera does if you're dealing with a sophisticated operator. And what we've seen at many of these vandalism torchings is someone on a motorbike with a helmet. You can't see their face, and if their motorbike is parked out of the field of view, it's unlikely you would see a license plate if there even is one. That sounds fairly sophisticated to me, to know where these synagogues are within this region, to scope them out, and to have the material to cause a great fire, especially that first school bus. It is not easy to light a school bus on fire, I would imagine, but it was done, and the school was torched and these signs were torched. If these were mosques, if these were Pride Parade headquarters, if this was another favored group, the whole country would be in 5-alarm mode. But they're just Jews, and everybody knows who the suspects are. They're people you're not allowed to talk about because that would be racist. For Rebel News, I'm Ezra Levant. 4 arson attacks in 3 days. Who's doing it? I don't believe old stock Canadians are doing it, and I don't believe that most migrants to Canada are doing it, but we've imported an enormous number who hate us. Sign our petition at deporthamas.com. The petition says if you are a foreign national and in this country, and if you're supporting the terrorist group of Hamas, get out. We should deport you. Go to deporthamas.com to sign our petition.